All right. Let's see if we can get a black sheep report live going here with Anthony. I think I got an invite out to him. See how that works. It's going to be brief today, I think. I was just working through some technical issues with my laptop and switched over to my phone now. Let's see. All right. I think we're going here now.
There we go.
There he is. Yeah.
How's it going today?
Good.
All right. We had some technical difficulties this morning on Skype, but we still wanted to get a mini-sode in. So Ken and I are going to discuss real time what we want to discuss since we had some issues. Today, Ken, I would like to get into the topic of masks in a couple of different layers. The cultural shift to the acceptability of masks, okay, and the whole metamorphosis of that, and the power of authority to really change the culture almost instantaneously, and then maybe some of the symbolism in regard to that. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, and let's touch on the Acquittal 2.0 impeachment nonsense.
Okay, we'll touch on that as well. What stood out to me this week in particular was, and I think I posted it earlier in the week, was the poll that said even if Americans felt that they were out of danger in regard to this pandemic, they would still don the mask, and it ran at 75%. Now, as you become more far removed from the, I guess, the problem, maybe that does go away, but it does not indicate, but the poll to me indicates that this whole mindset is not going any way in the most definitely in the near term, okay? Even when it's decided that, this is no longer a threat, okay? So there's a massive shift in the culture, okay? And it happened almost instantaneously. That was what was so astonishing about it, okay? We actually went from the point on masks where it was being condemned by the ruling class, and it was a mark of selfishness of individuals using them, okay, because it was thought to inversely impact the supply of frontline workers, and then poof, overnight, okay, basically in early April, where every store was mandating that we use a mask, and well, depending upon the state you were in, and that the culture dictated that you were now the selfish jerk for not wearing one, okay? So, maybe you add some comments to that whole dynamic that we saw play out in real time, and the massive cultural shift that would say, okay, 75%, okay? So it also dispels the myth that mass compliance has not been high, okay? Because, 75% of the people would still do it even in the aftermath of being out of the danger zone with this illness, okay? But then most of the rest of the population was being coerced into using it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Uh, I don't pay attention to the mask stuff beyond some of the really high level silliness of like now wear two masks. Fauci fucking giggling, as he's giving his daily press briefing or interview to the mainstream media. Uh, all that stuff. I really don't pay attention to it. I'm convinced, the more and more as we have moved through time over the last year, more and more people are wearing the masks. But I still see plenty of people not wearing masks. But like, I don't buy into it all that the masks protect us in the first place. So I'm just just at a very high level. I'm not really concerned with masks, and I barely wear mine other than when I need to go into the fucking grocery store to get something I need, and short of not being able to buy food and the basic necessities. I'm not going to go in there and start a fight because I don't want to wear a mask. But what was your question exactly about, like, my point of view? The masks are such a broad, deep, and wide subject
My
these
question
days.
was, is the cultural shift basically that took place overnight in regard to them, okay? And it all of a sudden becoming a symbol of virtue and caring in order to wear one,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the the I'm just amazed at the high suggestibility of the population to do a complete 180. Okay, I mean, I think in order to get to that point where you do a complete 180 on a topic, where yesterday you were a selfish bastard for wearing one, and then the next day you're a selfish bastard for not, is a there needs to be a deep held conditioning mechanism that's been instilled inside the population at large. Okay, and I think for years that groundwork has been laid with us. The whole the power of the crowd and the power of of a voice that we deem as authority. The way it has almost a hypnotic hold on people in their lives. Okay,
Right.
because if a guy off the street, okay, it's not gonna change your perceptions on this issue, okay, at least not in the amount of time that it took during the early stages of this pandemic,
Mm.
okay. So culture. What I don't know what the exact saying is, but it was like Andrew Breitbart, okay. Culture leads to political. Okay, it's just amazing how fast the culture changed in order to initiate the political change.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
and then
as far as the masks on the culture, I mean, we're basically talking about what the what the masses hear or see on TV and in the news every day. That's been the catalyst for, I don't know. Are you referring to polls? I guess that say more and
what's
more people support wearing masks. That what we're talking about generally? Yeah. Yeah. Hello.
I
Well,
think we're back now.
this fucking Facebook Live is fucking horrible, horribly poor and not intuitive on how to bring somebody on and let you know what the status is on doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened on my end. It, it just cut out.
Anyway, my question was, what's the kind of the foundation of, what we're talking about as far as mask adoption and people willing to do it? We're just talking about polls that we're seeing on the news and what the news is saying in general, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, even if it goes away, okay, it's now become a part of the cultural fabric.
Right.
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, and then
Same with the vaccines.
in less than a year. What?
Yeah. Same with the
Yeah,
vaccines.
yeah. The vaccine though, that took years. That took years of accept of acceptance. Okay, and we in regard to vaccines, it also the whole narrative of anti-vaxxer. I don't know when do you think that came into play? That's like over the last maybe a little bit more than a half decade, maybe a decade of vilifying the whole anti-vax mindset. It's
Yeah,
just a
probably not more than 10 years. I mean, it probably started a lot
yeah.
way before then, but it probably was just a fringe, and there wasn't a need to really, um, uh, cancel people that didn't believe in the same authorities and
There
narrative.
was always
With the vaccine, I'm only talking about the fucking corona vaccine. I'm not talking about vaccines in general.
oh, okay.
The fact that, so with the masks, people are posting pictures of their families and, their fucking profile pictures and shit with masks on is all you need to
Yeah,
know about how fucking brainwashed everybody is. And it's the same thing with, with voting, and now it's the same thing with the vaccine. Like, people are actively posting that they've gotten vaccines and talking about their reactions, and they'd rather have somebody I knew that was from the neighborhood back home posted a vaccine that they got about them getting the vaccine and the second vaccine, and the first night it was, oh, I got a sore arm. Then it was like, wow, that was the most horrible 12 hours I've ever went through. Hopefully this gets better faster, but I'd rather feel like this than get the virus. Without even considering that the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the fucking virus to begin with. It only
yeah.
prevents,
Well,
more severe symptoms. So anytime I see anybody posting about a vaccine, I automatically think fucking brainwashed, fucking virtue signaling.
oh yeah, and then people people clapping after for for others after getting the jab.
Yeah.
That's a new thing now too. Well, that's new because of social media. Okay, nobody would have ever postured like that
Yeah.
before. Okay, we all we all like I wrote this week. Okay, the if we're still posting shit, we're still posting stuff about people getting together and get in any type of gathering, okay, and not social distancing and so on and so forth. Okay, that's that's not the norm of the human experience.
No.
Okay, okay, human connection has always been the norm of the human experience. Okay, and it takes a massive amount of psychological manipulation to get you to the point where you believe that a person is an idiot or inconsiderate, okay, for getting together with others, okay? So the new normal is the one where we view humanity as an existential threat, okay? And this is why I speak about this topic ad nauseum, okay? This and those that did not want don't normally shy away from cultural discussions and political matters. Okay, if you're not concerned about this, okay, I don't know whenever you're going to be concerned about a topic. Okay, this is to me why this this whole psyop of a pandemic is so evil. Okay, and because it's distorted our view of our fellow man. Okay, and that's like no other uh, false flag event, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So the thing with the the vaccines and the masks that I find like really really intriguing, that the rationale and opinions and everything vary from one degree to the other so greatly, is the whole masks, vaccines, and the lack of flu that's happening right now, and
Absolutely.
and just how anybody with half a brain can go, masks work, and then talk about cases, and deaths, and what we've been talking about for forever now, and but not drilling down to any detail about PCR thresholds and who was sick, who wasn't sick, who didn't have, who was asymptomatic, who wasn't, who had it in the past. Forget about not even talking about that level of data, but the fact that masks work, yet the cases are so high, but flu is down, and flu's down because masks and social distancing and all the shit we've been told we're doing to, keep Rona at bay, works for the flu, but not for the Rona. I can't find anything, as hard as I look, that really differentiates to any degree how flu spreads versus Corona. They're both respiratory viruses. They both spread via droplets and aerosols and all that stuff. Yet all these prophylactic measures work for the flu, but not for the Rona.
Same method of transmission. It's said that, yeah, and it's just that this is, they call it the R factor, that R, the transmission, exponential transmission.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's different. Um, and many of the symptoms are the same, except there seems to be a telltale sign with coronavirus from those who've had it in the past. It's like whenever you're sick, you lose to a degree, your sense of taste.
Right.
What the people who've complained about coronavirus, who've had coronavirus, say is that it's almost like a complete loss. Okay, it's a more profound loss of taste. So to me, it's just like a more severe form of the flu, a little more contagious form of the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and from what I could gather about the illness of it in and of itself. But to say that I could buy the fact that coronavirus could be more contagious, but we're talking about the wholesale erratic scientists saying that we've basically eradicated a disease that's been around for 130 years. Okay. Yeah. And, if your BS detector does not go up in regard to that, and we did it with masks, all with masks. Okay. Yet, like you said, with coronavirus now, okay, this, Robert, you have the picture of Robert Redfield saying this mask is even more effective than your vaccine. This is the director of the CDC. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now it's so effective now that the same CDC is now telling you, well, you need 2 or 3.
Right.
And then there's also the question, the medical question, and I heard this from Nut Witkowski. Have you heard of him, the epidemiologist, who's basically a mainstream epidemiologist, okay, but he caught hell because he advocates for herd immunity, okay? What he said was that the mask will actually hasten a mutation, okay? And it makes sense, okay? Yeah. It's like with antibiotics. It's like the whole antibiotic puzzle. If you keep using an antibiotic, okay, eventually adaptation takes effect amongst the bacteria, and more virulent, more intense strains come about, okay? So, a virus is going to, while it's a dead matter, okay, in terms of the way it needs a host, okay? So in order to survive, it's going to find a way to adapt and become a more contagious strain. Now, the verdict is out whether it's actually more deadly. I think it might be slightly more contagious at this point.
Yeah.
And that could be solely to the fact that it's again, the reason why so many people died early on was because anything new can disrupt or hurt a compromised immune system.
Right.
Okay. This is the way it's always been. So if it's a new pathogen, others are not going to, to be able to adapt to it that quickly with a compromised immune system. Whereas of others, okay, and it's a large percentage of people that was not being discussed early on in this pandemic, actually have a cross-reactive immunity to disease based upon exposure to other types of coronaviruses.
Right. Yeah. 1 sec.
Yeah, no problem.
Just grabbing something to show you real quick. Came in the mail this week.
What's that? Let me see. All right, it's backward. Ivermectin. Okay. You got it?
Just in case.
I think, how did you get that? Or should I not answer that question?
You can ask all you want. I'm not gonna answer.
I'm going to say, hook me up. I've been taking, here's another thing we could get into real quick, and we've already discussed it before. Okay. There's no creativity within the medical community with this whole disease. Okay. From start to finish, it's been, and the medical community, okay, will never point the finger at itself. Okay. Basically what it's told you is you're a jooch for contracting this disease. Okay. You put on, stay 6 feet away from each other, at least, hide in your home, put on a mask and shut up. That's been the remedy that they've pounded from time immemorial, but no talk of how to how to enhance the immune system, okay, with things like vitamin D, vitamin C, quercetin, and now also no repurposed drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, like you just showed me over there, like ivermectin. Okay, which has been shown in many studies now to be a prophylaxis.
Yeah.
Okay, that can prevent you from getting the disease.
Yeah. So just so you know, this came from a place where if you go to a pharmacy, you can basically buy a COVID kit. If you think you're getting sick, you go to a pharmacy and buy a COVID kit. The shit comes in there with some other things, probably some HCQ, and send you back home and start taking your regime. And apparently, it's been working to a great degree of success.
Yeah, I heard some good things about ivermectin.
Yeah, that's in just one place, but it's probably similar to that around the world in many places. I've been meaning to get this out during this conversation about the masks and the vaccines. More about the masks and social distancing and all that bullshit. So I live in Oregon. The Oregon Health Authority has been running commercials, for this entire pandemic, and it's these really they started at it's like this yellow. I think I talked about this in the past. This yellow screen you see on TV, and it says, what about your family? What about your mom? What about your friends? It's that masks save lives. Thanks for masking up. Blah blah blah. But it makes it it's a complete fear factor. It's yellow and black, like the caution signs on the road when you're coming up on a construction or deer crossing or whatever. But now they've kind of switched it to this more feeling good, like thanking the public for doing what they've done, and social distancing and not getting too close to your family members and this, that, and the other. Almost like like a Pavlov's dog type situation where people are being patted on the head for obeying the authorities or the politicians or whoever they see on TV telling them how to live their lives.
Science, science. You're obeying
Fucking,
science.
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it is. They tied a measure of virtue. It's almost like you're back in school again, okay, where your goodness is entirely predicated upon how obedient you are. I always wanted to be a good boy. I always want to be considered a good boy by the adults,
Yeah.
okay, and that's become our we have this juvenile view of authority and government, okay. We want to get patted on the head and get attaboys, okay. We haven't evolved as human beings far from the whole high school paradigm, okay, when it's all said and done.
Right. Right.
Just before we segue into the next topic, I know you wanted to discuss Trump. Um, I also want to just briefly touch on the mask as talisman, okay, and the whole and not the whole symbolic nature of it, but there is a symbolism even codified within the rule of law to it. And I posted something earlier today that I thought was interesting. Okay, it's the first of all, there's the mask as corporate veil. Okay, and the whole artificial person persona. Okay, and it's a metaphor within law. Okay, that is a division between the public and the private person. Okay, so I got this from a guy that he's a how do I put it? He's a guy who opted out of society, okay, opted out of through legal means, okay, and he says, yeah, about that mask being forced upon your face, okay. The image of the mask is a well-known metaphor in law. He's quoting from it's a book called Law and Literature, okay, volume. It's it's a periodical, okay. The image of the mask is a well-known metaphor in law. It exemplifies the legal persona in that it both hides the private sphere and at the same time it enables participation in the public sphere by means of legal personality of the rights and duties bearing person that can effectuate legal standing. But legal personhood is itself a fiction, okay? Because it is a construction of law which human beings would merely be individual persons. This fiction is most explicitly in artificial personality of corporations. Historically, the attribution of personhood by law shows that issues surrounding personhood identity and or in relation to the body often lead to normative philosophical contestations, okay? And it goes to something that also, in a way, it segues into something that you posted a few months ago, okay, about the significance of masks as a ritual, okay, in religions and in other societies, and the importance that it plays in that, okay, because in secret society circles, a mask, wearing the mask, is a covering up of the old way, okay, and then entering in, so you could enter into the new paradigm, the new age, okay, and then we see this too with the fourth industrial revolution and the whole great reset mindset. So there's a tremendous amount of symbolism in the use of the mask, okay, and for those that don't look into secret societies and mystery religions and the way the ruling class is tied to these belief systems, okay, is to miss a large piece of this puzzle, okay? And that's why, okay, I view it, okay, as I posted a few weeks ago, it's kind of like a giant humiliation ritual as well, okay? Mm-hmm. It's a way of showing contempt, okay? So we got we need to wear now 2 or 3 masks in the face of a vaccine that's supposedly 95% effective, okay? And then at the same time, too, now introducing that whole trial balloon, okay, of the Chinese anal swabs into the mix, too, okay? So it gives you an idea okay, of where your standing is in the whole pecking order, okay, and how much the ruling class really disrespects you and they view you as basically chattel or,
Yeah,
in the whole scheme of things.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to leave it off with that too. Okay, that there's a whole there's an exoteric message in regard to the mass. Okay, and there's an esoteric message that they try to convey to the masses as well.
agreed, agreed.
Yeah,
Just the mention of the Chinese anal swabs is just it's just a whole new, it's a whole new
yeah. There's a
topic
great
that's going to be so incredibly entertaining.
there's a great meme going around, and I think it basically says I think you've seen it where the guy's got a face shield on and he's
Yeah,
bending over and then he's looking at a guy without a mask and he's saying, "Say conspiracy theorist."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it just sends. The guy that's bending over is the one is the considered now the virtuous one.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, the one that's woke.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you wanted to get into Trump.
Yeah, I wanted to get into Putin did it
Yeah.
2.0.
What?
Pu-
What'd you say?
Pu- Putin did it 2.0. Putin got
Putin
him
did it.
elected. Putin got him elected. Well, maybe it's 3.0. Putin got him elected. Putin got him acquitted first time. Putin got him acquitted the second time.
Okay.
He's,
Now, where did you see that Putin got him acquitted?
I didn't.
No. Okay.
Just I'm just following the historical narrative that we can blame everything on Russia and Putin when it comes to
Well,
Trump.
Jimmy Kimball actually blamed the Wall Street bets thing on Putin. So I guess everything that everything that I hate is a Russian psyop.
Yeah,
That's basically that's the only conspiracy that's allowed to be discussed within the whole Overton window right now.
right.
Okay, everything else is prohibited, and you need to be shut out of society
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Um,
Watch it. I didn't watch a lot of the coverage this past week, but I do kind of pay attention just to like we always talk about, just to watch for the subtle, and then the patterns of the same message they're trying to get across,
yeah, yeah.
and and then I kind of watch online, like how people are responding, and I just find it fascinating if you're if you're on one side or the other, that how they view things, and how they they think one side's righteous and the other side is criminal, or vice versa, without looking back at history and going, these presidents destroyed countries and uh, killed millions of people over the course of their terms, especially if they're two terms, Bush and Obama and Clinton, but never once go, yeah, killing, whether you think Trump was responsible for whatever happened there, and there's so much like that, that they'll never talk about on TV, like about the cops pretty much letting people go, letting people in at one point or another, the complete breakdown of, like, just like 9/11, all the intel that they had that nobody took any action on. Uh, apparently, this was on, like, Pelosi and other House leadership's radars before it happened, and they didn't want the National Guard, and they didn't want any extra security there. Uh, what do you take away from that? You know, and then apparently, have you been following this Capitol cop that died, the Sicknick, and kind of the behind the scenes
a,
story there?
a little bit. I'm a little fuzzy on that now. They're saying now that something about he didn't die directly from somebody bashing. The whole narrative was that this guy bashed his face or his skull in with the fire extinguisher,
Right.
and then
Which now they're saying they don't even have any evidence that happened.
Okay, so
I
now,
mean,
so there's no
the only
evidence that.
evidence is like what they show on, they show somebody throwing a fire extinguisher at one point, but they're never saying that the guy it hit was this guy.
Okay, all right.
There's only one video of a fire extinguisher flying through
Well,
the air.
it really doesn't surprise me that here's a country, okay, and this is a point that somebody else made. So here we go. We have this great insurrection, and we live in this quote unquote great insurrection, I should say, this big insurrection, okay, and we live in a country with a Second Amendment, okay, and all these people who came there basically decided to come there and not use their either not use their weapons if they were carrying, or came there unarmed to begin with. Okay.
Yeah. Their weapons were
So
the
the whole
American flag and the Trump flag, apparently, and one fire extinguisher.
yeah, and the fire extinguisher is the deadly weapon of choice, and yet the person that did get shot, okay, it was as the result of the Capitol Police, you know, again, shitting their pants and fearing for their safety and shooting Ashley Campbell. Okay, that was the one death, and then I've heard people saying, well, she deserved to die because she could have gotten at the ballots. So we're going to put pieces of paper now. We're going to put pieces of paper now over human life. Okay, and it speaks to the whole. Here's the thing with this whole impeachment. Okay, it's the these public figures, okay, and their plight, okay, being even greater, being taken on to other folks, okay, we're living vicariously through them, okay, being taken upon by other folks as the uh, greatest violation of rights, okay, yet you just went through a whole year, okay, where your rights in real time, okay, have been stripped from you, okay, and will probably never be granted, bequeathed to you again, okay, which begs the question whether you had any rights at all.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I didn't make the point as clear as I should, okay, but we're more concerned about the plight of our, of those in authority, okay, of those, the whole representation of our voice, okay, that's more important to us than the whole way we've been exploited personally,
Yeah.
okay, and if Trump, what's this whole, people are like celebrating this, okay, it was a 53-47 vote in the majority against him, okay, the reason why he's not convicted is that there's, they couldn't reach 2/3 majority in order to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the whole reason. This is something to celebrate.
Yeah.
How
Not even to mention the fact that they couldn't reach the 2/3 majority. It's the fact
yeah.
nobody even considered, like, well, everybody knew most of the Republicans, whether they believed any of it or not, weren't going to vote for it. And a good majority, there's got to be some subset of the Democrats that don't believe it either. But there's no way they're not going to vote to impeach. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, and impeachment. Okay, you could basically, it's broad latitude. You have broad latitude to impeach a president, okay, because it's called high crimes and misdemeanors, okay, which means it's political crimes. It's a political process, okay. This is not in any way this is a kangaroo court.
Yeah.
And impeachment was meant to have that because it's entirely a political process, okay, where they could, the party in power can initiate this process initiate this at any time. Why the founders thought it was such a good idea, okay, is kind of beyond me right now, okay, because there was really no check to it. It's a process that's ripe for abuse. I guess they felt it was the one mechanism to get rid of a bad president, but it always assumed that they would do it solely based upon the grounds of constitutionality, okay, and that's not what this has done. What what has happened ultimately. Okay, you know, the Watergate was about a petty break-in. Okay, so it's I can't get worked up about this one way or the other. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying, but I just find it fascinating that, okay, well, he didn't get impeached, but, here's what I can hang on now. The vote number. It's never been that, that lopsided. Okay, whatever the fuck makes you feel good. Like,
Mhm.
how is that, how is that so important that it impacts your fucking life? Like, how does that make you feel good? Like, okay, they didn't impeach him. Like, I'm on the left. I'm really upset they didn't impeach Trump, but hey, you know what? The votes, it was closer than ever before. I feel good about that. Like,
Yeah, there's some exuberance on the other
yeah.
side too.
Oh, he's the first president to ever be impeached twice. I feel good about it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Yeah,
By the way, I lost your video. I could hear you fine, but the video froze up.
the video froze up.
Yeah.
Is it back? Or?
No, it's been stuck for about 5 minutes at least. But don't worry about it. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, and just back to like you're upset Trump didn't get impeached for bullshit for the most part, but you're fine with Trump fucking bombing the planet for the last 4 years,
Yeah,
and the
that's
amount of people he killed and everything else. Like he belongs in jail like the rest of them, but that's not what's important. The
yeah.
impeachment would have been like sealed the deal for you.
And that
People
to
are
me that was
fucking
the
out
chief
of their
tool of
mind
impeachment.
brainwashed.
To me, that was the chief tool of impeachment: violation of the Constitution. Not yeah, there hasn't been a president uh, since. There hasn't been a president in the post-World War II period that sort of that sort a, a official declaration of war.
Yeah,
Every war that we fought post-World War II has been unconstitutional.
yeah,
Okay, and that doesn't bother people. You know, Trump calling up some guy in Georgia saying, "Find me 11,000 votes." That's what you that's the thing that outrages you more than sending American boys overseas to die and killing non-combatants in battle
right.
as well. That's the thing that exercises you. That's the thing that gets you going.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
a distorted view of priorities, because everything that's about impeachment is about the whole power process and not about the violate not just the violation of law, the violation of human dignity and human rights.
right, right. Yeah, fuck.
All right, Ken. I think that with my video freezing up and everything, this might be a good place where to draw this to a close.
Yeah. All right. Let's hey, dude, when you get a chance, let's try to figure out a different day and time or a different time if it's going to be Sunday for your friend to join us and if they're
Yeah.
still interested.
I'm gonna. Yeah. I think it was. I got the time that I told her that would come on. She said she was available, but we'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. All
All right.
right.
You want me to just call you when we're done here?
I'll call you as soon as I hang up over here.
All
You get
right.
off
Black
over
Sheep
here.
Report, season 1, episode 13, signing off.